हरि ओम। वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। हरि ओम। On behalf of Param Vedanta, we welcome you to the 53rd session of GIFT, Gita for Inner Freedom and Transformation. We continue with the 10th chapter today, Vibhuti Yoga. Our moderator for today is Dr. Divakar, and our speakers are Dr. Divakar, Sri Venkatesh, Srimati Nilimaji, Dr. Jagdish, and Srimati Panaga. Over to you, Divakar.
Thank you. Thank you, Neeta. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. With the greatest reverence to the Guru Parampara, starting from Dakshinamurti to Adi Shankaracharya, to our current gurus, including Swami Paramarthananda ji. And also profound gratitude to Param Vedanta team led by Dr. Tima Pegde in this wonderful journey of all of us. We continue the study of the 10th chapter. As we know, the 10th chapter is in the Dvitiya Shatkam. Dvitiya Shatkam deals with Ishvara Swarupa. That is the central theme, central topic of this 6 chapters, starting from the 7th chapter till the 12th chapter. Now, in this, we have seen a lot of teaching has already been given in the 7th chapter itself, the Gnana Vijnana Yoga, where Sri Krishna says Bhagavan or Ishvara is a combination of Brahman and the Maya. Now, many of us, most people think that Bhagavan is the creator of the Jagat, only the Jagat Karta. But we know that Bhagavan is both the creator as well as the material for this universe. Now, when we say that the Bhagavan is the creator, it is also called as intelligent cause. Bhagavan is called as the intelligent cause for this universe. Intelligent cause is called as Nimitta Karanam. But we see the difficulty here. If we say that Bhagavan is the intelligent cause, which means he must be there somewhere outside, somewhere in heaven, Kailasa or Himalaya or somewhere else. And therefore, he is not directly accessible. So Bhagavan is Paroksha. And also, this knowledge is inferred through the teachings that we have got from our elders, from perhaps the scriptures, gurus, etc. So here the God is remote, and this knowledge that Bhagavan is the Jagat Karta, who is sitting elsewhere, is a indirect or paroksha gnanam. But scriptures tell us that Bhagavan is not just outside, Bhagavan is everywhere. And scriptures encourage us, Bhagavad Gita encourages us, Sri Krishna encourages us to think and inquire on this knowledge. Who is this Bhagavan? Is he just sitting outside somewhere else, or is he everywhere else? So when we start inquiring, we know that Bhagavan is also the material cause for this universe, which is also called as Upadana Karanam. The famous mantra in the Mundakopanishad we have seen, just like how the spider not only intelligently designs the web, but it also gives the web from within, which means it is both the intelligent as well as the material cause. So Bhagavan is a material cause as well. There are two aspects here that we have already seen. One is The higher intelligent cause of Bhagavan is a Nimitta Karanam, and the lower material cause is the Upadana Karanam. That lower material cause, as we know, has both Chetana and Achetana Tattvam that we have seen already in the 7th chapter. The higher principle is called as Chetana or the consciousness principle. The lower principle is called as Achetana or the Maya principle. So Brahman plus Maya is also the Upadana Karanam, the material cause for this universe. So every cause, everything that we see, including our own body and mind, and everything in this world is not separate from this combination of both the intelligent and the material cause of this Bhagavan. So with this, the knowledge of ours obviously evolves from what was just God who is sitting outside as Jagat Karta. Now God is also Jagat Karanam. So then the God who was Paroksha, who was elsewhere, has become Pratyaksha. Because when we start to see the God as in the universe itself, we start to say that yes, God is here and now also. So this is transcending from Jagat Karta to Jagat Karanam. So what is this form of this Jagat, of this Pratyaksha Bhagavan? Okay, the very universe itself is in the form of Bhagavan. Every event in this creation is the glory of the Bhagavan. So does it mean that we keep seeing these glories every day? Yes, if our attitude shifts that God is not just the Jagat Karta, God is also Jagat Karanam, and start to visualize the God in everything that we see, naturally everything becomes a glory also. This is nothing but the Vishwarupa Bhakti. This is also, in order to get to this Vishwarupa Bhakti, obviously we need to have a very subtle and a prepared mind. Sri Krishna already told in the 8th verse in this chapter that Aham Sarvasya Prabhavaha, I am the source of all. Mattah Sarvam Pravartate. And from me alone, everything evolves. Which means what? Everything is manifested into the universe itself. Now, in the 9th verse, he said that those who visualize this form, this Vishwarupa form, this Virat form, Virat as we know is the macrocosmic Stula Sharira. So we know Vishwa and Virat, and we have studied this earlier in Tattva Bodha also. So those who visualize and contemplate and have devotion on this Vishwarupa, Ishvara, will certainly transcend to the higher level, which is the Arupa Ishvara. He says that those in the 9th verse, he is saying, okay, with minds wholly in me and life absorbed in me, they get satisfied and delighted. Okay, those who not just think of me, those who talk about me also. So there are a couple of stories, and we can, think about gopis bhakti towards Krishna here. Once Narada we know is the Devarishi. Devarshi is a representation of Devarshi. Once he is traveling, he sees lot of these gopis who are always thinking or talking about Sri Krishna. He asks one of them who will be meditating on Sri Krishna. He wakes her up and asks, "What are you doing?" So he says, "No, I don't want to really think of Krishna because he keeps he keeps coming and disturbing my mind. So I am trying to forget about him." In that way, she was thinking about Krishna. Whereas the other one, he asks, "What are you doing?" She will be keeping one knife next to her apparently. And Narada asks, "Why are you keeping this knife next to you?" She says that, "No, I want to go and kill Arjuna and Draupadi with this knife." And Narada gets astonished. What is going on here? He says, "How come such a Lord who is a Jagat Karta, Jagat Karanam, Jagat Adhishtana Krishna, he is such a high, revered God, but this Arjuna is making him as his charioteer, is making him as the driver for this. So, I don't like Arjuna, therefore I want to kill him." And whereas Draupadi, she couldn't protect herself. For the sake of protecting herself in this Sabha where Dushasana was doing the Vastrapaharanam, So she thinks of Krishna, and this Gopika thinks that it's bothering Krishna for all this trivial and silly reasons. So you can see how this bhakti is expressed in different ways by different people. Krishna is saying, in whatever form, however you want to remember me, you remember me. All of these people who think of me, especially in the form of Vishwarupa, will transcend further. In the 10th verse is reiterating this issue further. Those who are ever steadfast, worshipping me with full of love, I bestow upon them the knowledge of yoga. Again, what does it mean? It means that our own mind becomes more and more subtler as we visualize God in the very universe. Because it requires that subtle buddhi. And then only one can go to Gnana Yoga. In the 11th verse, a beautiful example of lamp, you know gnana deepa, gnana deepa bhasvata. So you can see a gnana deepa example is given. This is beautifully explained by the Swamiji here. We know that deepa is usually referred as a symbol of knowledge because it removes the darkness. Darkness is compared to ignorance. Ignorance is removed by this light. Asatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya. We know that Shanti Pata. Here we have seen its significance with a beautiful correlation. So lamps are usually kept in a very protected place. That means what? We have to keep our mind in a way withdrawn, untainted by the likes and dislikes. Have that samatvam in our own mind. That samatvam usually comes through by karma yoga and upasana yoga. And then the lamp itself, it is symbolic of detached mind or antahkarana. The wick which is there in the deepa is compared to our intellect, which is cultured by brahmacharya and all those shatka sampattis that we have seen already. And oil, that wick must be soaked in the bhakti, the love, the divine grace of the devotion. And the oxygen, which is so important for this lamp to give its light, is nothing but the intensity of the meditation upon the God. And the light or the flame itself is a state of realization that I am the Brahman. So, this is a wonderful metaphor given to think of the lamp of the knowledge. And Sri Krishna says that that's what happens to these Vishwarupa Bhaktas over a period of time. Now, and after this, Sri Krishna takes a pause. And this is when Arjuna takes over. In today's session, we will see only Arjuna's verses from 14 till 18. Verse 12, we have already completed this. This is the first time in the whole of Bhagavad Gita that Arjuna makes a proper request. Until now, he was asking a lot of questions. When he had asked questions, it is usually one verse or two verse maximum. Now here he goes on for about 6 verses, which means what? It is coming out of lot of reflection, lot of reverence to the God. He first of all, it is as if like it's a protocol. Before you ask for anything, you go through certain things. You praise the God. I mean, all of this is very sincere, request from Arjuna. So he praises the God. He says that you are the supreme Brahman, you are the supreme abode. Because he has already learned all of this through previous teachings, particularly from the chapter 7 and chapter 9. He has learned about all of this and he is reiterating what he has learned already. He demonstrates that he has already grasped these teachings and those teachings are very clear in his own mind. In the verse 13 that we have seen in the last class, whatever he is now accepting is something that the rishis rishis have talked about and they have accepted it. So in this 13th verse, we have seen the declarations of the rishis. Rishis' words are nothing but the words of Vedas themselves. Swamiji jokingly says, who are the rishis? Rishis are those people who received the highest knowledge. Receivathe iti rishi is what Swamiji says, Swami Paramarthananda. So, Rishi's words are the Veda Vakyas. So, they have talked about Brahman. And then in the 13th verse, mention of Narada, who represents the Deva Rishis, is talked about. He also talks about the same knowledge which was talked by the Vedas and the Rishis. Not just them, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa, they are the representatives of the highest intellect. They are the greatest thinkers. They are also talking of the same knowledge. And then Krishna himself, Sri Krishna himself has told that this knowledge is passed on to him. In the chapter 4, we have seen all of this. So passed on to him by the in a lineage that he has learned it. So Pura Prokta, he said that these knowledge have come from long before him, and he's passing on this knowledge. And we have seen in the Dhyana Shlokas also, Sarva Upanishado Gavo, Dogda Gopala Nandana. So from the Upanishads, Sri Krishna has taken this teaching, which means what? It is the same consistent teaching which is being talked about by everybody. The fact is, the highest and the most respected authorities of that period are anonymous in their description of the Lord, and there is no division or difference of opinion in this issue. And Shri and Arjuna continues to talk, and first line is already talked about here. Sarvameta manye yanmam vadasi Keshava. So he says that whatever which has been already told by you, I completely accept. Whatever is being told in the Vedas, by the rishis, by Narada, by all the great thinkers, I completely accept them. And that acceptance comes with understanding. That is very important to know. He says that Nahite Bhagavan Vyaktim Vidurdheva na Danavaha. So, however, to completely grasp who the highest God is, it is not possible for the ordinary intellects. It is not possible for people with a lot of ego. He says that nor the gods or the asuras, the demons, will know the full glory of the Bhagavan. Now you can see the difficulty. He's saying that yes, I know this information. I'm beginning to know about this Vishwarupa, but the mind is not still very subtle. In this set of verses, he is going to ask for the symbols. Give me some vibhuti, some of your glories, so that I can start using them. They become my stepping stones to understand you better, to grasp you better. Especially the abstract, formless state of yours is what I need to know, I want to know. And in order to do that, please give me the vibhutis, is what he will be talking in the subsequent verses. Before that, he's saying that even the gods cannot understand you, and he's building up for that. So there is a story which is talked about, and Swamiji, explains this beautifully. This is told in the Kena Upanishad also. When the Devas, they win their wars against the Asuras, the demons, they will have a lot of ego, a lot of pride, and they will start to, in a way, disrespect or be grateful for other, sources, particularly the higher sources such as Shakti and Brahman. And in order to really bring their pride and egos down, Brahman, or in other words, Bhagavan, comes in the form of Yaksha and appears in front of them. When the gods were saying that they've conquered the whole universe, Yaksha challenges them to defeat him. So Devas, they first send Agni to go and defeat or talk to this Yaksha. Yaksha shows them the blade of grass and says, okay, I want you to, in a way, whatever, vanish this or do whatever you want to do. Agni spews his fire and starts to, show all of his might, but nothing happens to this blade of grass. And then defeated, Agni goes back and tells that he is not able to conquer this Yaksha. And then they send Vayu. Vayu, with all his might and power, starts to blow away the blade of grass, but again, nothing happens. So, and he also goes back saying, whatever I am facing is something which is completely out of my powers. I accept my defeat. And then the Devendra, Indra himself goes. Indra is considered as the lord of the mind. When Indra goes there, Yaksha disappears. Yaksha disappears, using his Maya Shakti. And then Indra starts to then realize that what I'm dealing with is an extraordinary God. And then he starts to realize that, yes, we were very arrogant. We shouldn't have been this arrogant. And then he starts to pray. And upon praying, Yaksha appears in front of him as Maya or Shakti, again representing that she is the manifested form of Brahman. We know the Para and Apara Prakriti. As Apara Prakriti, it appears in front of him. But what is sentient behind this Apara Prakriti is the Para Prakriti. So he realizes that everything is in Brahman, and in fact, everything is Brahman. And then he also recognizes that every glory and manifestations which are happening in the universe, including their own victories against the Dhanavas, is as a result of the grace of Brahman and Maya. So with this, we will go on to the next verse, which will be explained by Venkatesh Prasad sir. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. We have heard from previous three speakers Arjuna's mini Ashtottara of Lord Krishna from Shloka 12 to 14, and it continues here also in Shloka 15. Before he puts forth his request to give him alambanas or vibhutis of the Lord to enable him to do Vishwarupa Upasana as a stepping stone for Advaita Jnana. As Dr. Divakarji explained in Shloka 14, we saw Arjuna tells, Hey Bhagavan, Devaha te vyaktim nahi viduhu, Danavaha na viduhu. Neither the Devas nor the Asuras know the manifestation of the Lord. Let us see what Arjuna has to say here in Shloka 15. Swayamevatmanatmanam vedhatvam purushottama bhuta bhavana bhutesha devadeva jagatpate. Here, interestingly, we find that Arjuna is increasing the number of different namas or names for the Lord. In previous shloka, he said Keshava and Bhagavan. And in this shloka, He Purushottama, He Bhutabhavana, He Bhutesha, He Devadeva, He Jagatpate, many archana he is doing. These are all different epithets of the Lord revealing this glory. Next slide, sir. And what are those glories? Hey Purushottama. Purushottama is a technical word which will be explained in the 15th chapter, wherein Krishna divides the entire universe into three. Kshara Purusha, meaning manifest matter, Akshara Purusha, meaning unmanifest matter or energy, and Uttama Purusha, the consciousness principle. And Uttama Purusha reversed is what? Purushottama, means the pure consciousness which is beyond matter. And oh Lord, you are not the physical body that I am seeing. Your body is an incidental Vesha. But the real you is nothing but pure consciousness. He Purushottama, Chaitanya Swarupa, Chidrupa. Bhuta Bhavana. Bhuta means all things and beings in the universe. Bhavana means creator. Srishtikarta. Therefore, Bhuta means Srishti, Bhavana means Karta. Bhuta Bhavana means Srishtikarta. Bhutani bhavati utpadayati iti bhuta bhavana. So, you are the fundamental consciousness principle from which alone the matter evolves and creation comes, and ultimately the material creation devolves and dissolves in the consciousness. Next slide, sir. Bhutesha. Not only you are the creator of the world, you are also the controller of the world. It is easy to create something, and there afterwards you should know how to manage it. We are worried that we may produce something that we may not know how to handle. Therefore, who is omnipotent one? Omnipotent one is he or she who not only can create, but also can maintain or manage. And therefore, O Lord, not only you are Srishtikarta, you are also Sthitikarta, the great manager Bhutesha. Deva Deva, which word which we have seen before. You are the primal God, the Lord of gods, the controller of even Devatas. Devatas meaning Indra, Varuna, Agni, etc. They control our life, but they themselves are controlled by you. As the story told by Dr. Divakar explains this. If you remember Kathopanishad, Bhayadasyagnistapati, Bhayat tapati Suryaha, Bhayat Indrascha Vayuscha Mrutyuhu Dhavati Panchamaha. Even devatas are functioning because of your control. Therefore, you are Deva Deva, Devanam Devaha. Next slide, sir. Jagatpate. Jagatpati means the protector of the world from those people who try to destroy the world. Remember verse 8 in chapter 4. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkrutam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Whenever there is a threat to this world, you yourselves find out methods of protecting this world. Therefore, Jagatpate. And why I want to know everything from you? The reason is given in the first line. Swayameva Atman Atmanam Veta. You alone know yourselves completely. The other people do not know your glory. O Lord, only you know. So Swayam Veta. And how did you come to know? Who was your Guru? If Lord requires another Guru, then the next question will be, who is his Guru? Therefore, Arjuna says here, Atmana Veta. You know not because of any Guru, but you know by yourselves. So, Lord was never ignorant to become a Jnani. He was always Sarvagna. He Purushottama, Bhutabhavana, Bhutesha, Deva Deva, Jagatpate, Tvam Swayameva Atmana, Atmanam Veta. You know yourselves by yourselves, and therefore you are the best person to tell me the details. Arjuna puts forth his request in the next three verses from 16 to 18, which the coming speakers will explain. Hari Om. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Venkatesh sir, for that very nice and very lucid explanation. You know yourselves by yourselves, and therefore you are the best person to tell me the details. If we just focus on the first line itself, in Advaita, that you know yourself is yours by yourselves is nothing but the aparoksha gnanam. From what was, paroksha, the indirect knowledge becomes aparoksha. So through that contemplation, through nididhyasanam. And we know that Bhagavad Gita and Shastras give a lot of emphasis on self-effort also. For example, we have seen that in the 6th chapter, Uddharet Atmanatmanam, Atmanam Avasadayet. So we will have to lift ourselves by ourselves, using our mind to lift our own mind, to refine our mind using our own mind. And then in many verses where Sri Krishna says, okay, he says that I have told whatever in the 18th chapter, he says that I have told whatever I have to say. Yata ichchasi tata kuru, he says to Arjuna. Again, living everything to our own free will and our own self-effort. And ultimately, that's what determines our own individual journeys also. Although the Shastras is common for all of us, Gurus are common, the knowledge is common. How we utilize it, how we take it forward is such an individual effort. Here again, it is re-emphasizing. But in this context, obviously, Arjuna is praising the, particularly taking up the Arupa Ishvara, bhava, and he is wanting more and more knowledge from Shri Krishna. With this, we will go to Nilima ji, and from here you will start to see Arjuna's requests, questions. What is that he wants to know from Lord Krishna? Over to you, ma'am.
Jai Gurudev. Let us see 16th verse. Vaktuparhasya seshena divya yatma vibhutayah yabhirvibhutibhillokat iman svam vyapya tishtasi. Arhasi aseshena. You should completely vaktum, narrate divyahi atma vibhutayah, those divine glories, yabhi vibhutibhi, by which glories tvam tishtasi vyapyaha, you remain pervading, iman lokan, these worlds. Meaning, you should completely narrate those divine glories of yours, by which glories you remain pervading this world. Up to the previous verse, we have seen the glorification of Lord, the Namakam part. Now comes the Chamakam part. Chamakam part means asking favors. Arjuna says, Vaktum arhasi, you should teach me, Arhasi here is with a mild, humble commandment to teach him. And what he asked for is Atma Vibhuteha, all Lord's glory, all his manifestations. And that to whatever glories Divyaha, which are extraordinary. Because almost everything that we do is a glory. Even walking is a glory that we enjoy. We will know only when we meet the people who struggle to walk, since they are so commonly, like we do not recognize this Laukika Vibhuti unless one's organ fails to function, either it is skin, kidney, brain, heart, so on. Every one of us are truly rich, but we take all organs for granted because from birth they are freely available. So Arjuna says, Krishna, I don't want you to enumerate this Laukika Vibhutis. He wants Lord Krishna to enumerate the Divyaha, means Alaukika Vibhuteya, extraordinary glories. Iman Lokan Vyapya Tistasi. Take anything in the universe. Lord is pervading the whole creation in the form of these glories. So, Yame Vibhuti Bihi, with such extraordinary glories, Lord pervade the whole creation and remain. And that list of glories Arjuna wants to know from Krishna. So, this is the favor Arjuna wants from Lord Krishna. So, and what is the purpose? Why do he want them? Arjuna gives the purpose in the next verse. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you, Nilimaji, for that nice explanation. Arjuna is saying that I want to know all the glories completely and clearly. He doesn't want any shortcuts. He doesn't want brief answers. Imagine he is now sitting, or he's there in the war field, and he says war can wait. I want to know all of this. There's no pressure on you. Please give me everything. I'm all ears. I'm ready. And Krishna wants such a kind of attitude from Arjuna. Only then a guru, for that matter, any guru, they are extremely happy to have a very sincere shishya, so that that knowledge can be fully transformed to them. Because you brought up Namakam and Chamakam. Namakam and Chamakam both together is called as Sri Ruddham, or it is also called as Shatarudriya. Namakam, as you say, it's praising the God. Okay. Namo Mahadhyah Shullakebhyascha Vo Namo Namo Ratibhyo Ratebhyascha Vo Namaha. I've just taken, a couple of mantras here. Mahadhyah, which means that which is magnanimous, huge. So we have seen that in Kaivalya Upanishad also. Anoraniyam Mahato Mahin. So Kshullakebhya is something which is absolutely small. So we are talking about Vishwarupa here. That which manifests as completely big Mahat to Kshullaka. To that, and then Rathibhyo Rathebhyascha. So here Rathibhyo refers to, it can be taken as Ratha is the chariot. Chariot is body and mind. So that with the body and mind, which means all the Jiva Rashis you can take as an example, and Rathebhyaha, which means that without the body and mind. What is that without the body and mind, without the attributes? Which is Arupa Ishvara. You have on one side with attributes, the other side without attributes. Like this, just 2 lines is sufficient to know all forms as to how the expansion of the Arupa Ishvara, the Vishwarupa Ishvara, and then Arupa put together. And to get that, again, Chamakam is asking for all the things that we want to grasp this, Arupa and Vishwarupa Ishvara. And what kind of things? Chittancha me, adi tancha me, vakcha me, manascha me, chakshuscha me, srotrascha me, dakshascha me, balancha me, ojascha me. Like that, it keeps going. Chittancha me, I need a good mind and wisdom, which is pure. Like the wick example that we took in the Deepam. Aditam, the mental knowledge born out of this mind. Again, it is in our own hand. How we hone our own mind, what kind of knowledge we take in, and what kind of sadhana that we do. Walk, the power of speech. Manaha, the clear and sound mind. Chakshu, the keen and perceptive eyesight and the sense organs. Keen hearing, srotranchame. So give all these things. So that's what is talked about in the Chamakam part of it. Okay. So it is Ishvara who's manifested as Vishwarupa, but one needs to have a subtle vision, which is also called as Divya Chakshu. We will read about this, we will know about this in the 11th chapter, where Arjuna is temporarily granted with this Divya Chakshu to visualize the Vishwarupa. But in order to get that, we need all this Chittanchame, Aditanchame, Vakchame, which means what? One must be an Adhikari, Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampanna, which means Viveka, Vairagya, Mumukshatvam, and Shatka Sampatti. All of them has to be mastered by a person. Then that Divya Chakshu is something which comes automatically. It is not a separate eye, it is the mental preparation that one has to get in this pursuit. And definitely that is not going to be easy, especially for the beginners. So Arjuna is saying that Divya Chakshu will take time, but give me some alambanas, give me some symbols. At least I can see these symbols and start to appreciate you. Then I will think of the Divya Chakshus. This is the Arjuna's request. And we will have the expansion of this that will be explained by Dr. Jagdish. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Quickly recapitulating the three previous verses, the presentations today, and these are uttered by Arjuna when he means, Krishna, you alone know what you are, you alone can describe yourself, and you stand pervading the three worlds. And so, you alone can describe your glories. Now, the problem for Arjuna is, what is this process of meditation he has to follow? And what is the form of meditation that he has to follow? And this is a question for all of us. And this is a summary of the Shloka 17. Right, sir? Now, the Shloka goes like this. Katham vidyam aham yogins tvam sada parichintayan keshu keshechu bhaveshu tintyosi bhagavan maya. The word meaning would be, Katham vidyam aham, how shall I know? Yogin tvam, the supreme you that you are, sada parichintayan, when I'm constantly meditating. Keshu keshechu bhaveshu. What, twice he says, what forms should I think? Chintyosi, Bhagavan Maya, you, my Lord. Right, sir? Now, in the 17th sloka and in the next one, Arjuna is asking these questions to which Krishna gives the answers only in the 19th sloka. Now, cutting back to the 17th sloka again, due to the Yoga Maya of Krishna, the spirituality of Krishna cannot be deciphered easily by us, by the materialist man. In fact, the phrase in the shloka, Keshu Keshech Bhaveshu, what, refers to the physical things. A simple analogy would be a little child playing with toys of an elephant, a horse, a car, fruits, and so on. Well, these are only the symbols and the images to which his imagination is ignited. So when he sees the real thing, he is in awe. Now, the same analogy can be applied to us when Krishna is asking, how am I to meditate so that I come to know about you? When Arjuna is asking Krishna, how do I come to know when I'm meditating to know about you? The question is very earnest. In fact, it is one on behalf of all of us. Essentially, we are looking for the tools of meditation. Arjuna seems to say, if you reveal to me the tools, only then can I see you the oneness that you're claiming all over the universe. Now we fall back to our Guru Swami Paramarthananda. Next slide, sir. We have moved from symbols. Now, Guru Paramarthananda tells us what you need is alambanam. And he is our alambanam. And Paramarthananda says, it is like an aid support for the mind. a concrete support to know Krishna. To visualize the abstract, you need something at the materialistic plane. And he tells us, in pursuit of moksha, upasana, the puja punaskara, the meditation, the japa, all are very essential. A simple analogy would be when you see the scaffolding being put up for a nice structure which is coming up, put a small equation. The creation is equal to the Lord plus the Namaswarupa. A simpler example would be when you go to a river, first you do namaskaram, then you do prokshanam, and then only you take the holy bath in the river. Now, doing a bit of deep dive, next slide, sir. Krishna is asking what forms, what particular form should I meditate? Katham vidyam, how do I know? So the Bhashya says, just as in a cow, let's take the example of a cow puja. In every anga of the cow, the 14 lokas are spread. Therefore, Go Puja can be considered as Vishwarupa Ishwara Puja. Now, next slide, sir. Krishna is encompassing all the three gunas. He is the yogin. He's not a yoga master. He is the yogin. And the three gunas which is encompassed are Srishti he needs with the rajasic quality for creating this universe. Then for the sthiti, the sattva, where he has to show his vibhutis of the forest, the streams, the rivers, the mountains, and all the others, he needs the sattva guna. And finally, for the destruction, it is laya or the tamas. A similar example, interestingly, would be next slide, sir. The nimitta karanam, okay, we can call it as the Dvaita school of thought. The baby is born, nimitta. Then it moves on to the parinami upadana karanam. The baby grows up to the young adult. Let's call this as a Vishishta Advaita. And finally, it is a Vivarta Upadana Karana. It is the reflection of the ultimate Om in the mirror of ourselves, and that is the Advaita. Next slide. Next slide, sir. Oh, yeah, this slide. Now, a closer home example will be like an athletic race where all the starters are ready at the starting blocks to take off at the fire of the gun, and he moves on. All of them move on. They have different faiths, different approaches, different prayers to the Vishishta Advaita aspect, where they're picking up the pace. And then finally, all of them brush the tape. Maybe a little early, maybe a little late. It could be a marathon, it could be a sprint. The brushing the tape is important. What's the destination? It is, in philosophy, Abheda Gnanam. And that is a trophy. It is a movement from Amsa, Amshibhava. Slide, sir. Next slide. Now, Krishna was asked two questions by Arjuna about the form and the process of meditation in this shloka. And he has two tasks ahead. The Vibhuti, task one, as the Alambanam for Vishwarupa Dhyana. And then there's the task two, that is the Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti, which includes the Viveka, Vairagya, Chat Sampatti, and Mokshatva. Unsatiated questions of Arjuna passes on to the next sloka 18 also. And only in the 19th sloka, the Bhagavan Vacha comes in, who tells us about the splendorous manifestations. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful explanation of this beautiful verse. And you beautifully brought out this, stages that every sadhaka will have to go through. So, an Advaitin, one who follows Advaita, will never negate Dvaita, will never negate Vishistadvaita. Yes, at one level, philosophically, you are arguing what is what you might negate. But in reality, one would accept everything. Because to begin with, one will have to be a Dvaita Bhakta. So where the intelligent cause, Jagat Karta Ishvara Bhava, will have to come in. Only then you will start and go to Jagat Karanam. So Jagat Karta, that is a Dvaita Bhava. Jagat Karanam is the Vishishta Dvaita Bhava. Jagat Karta is Ekarupa Ishvara. Jagat Karanam is Vishwarupa or Aneka Rupa Ishvara. And finally, Jagad Adishtanam. This is very substratum, or in other words, Vivarta Upadana Karanam is the Advaita. That was beautifully brought up. So we need these symbols. Otherwise, it is so very difficult. I mean, I thought I'll give one more example. You know, we all are Indians, and of course, we have a lot of respect to India, to our country, Bharat. Now, how do we show this respect? Imagine if there are no symbols at all. How do you even show any respect to our own country? It is, we know it is there. It is definitely there. But how are you ever going to praise, or how are you going to address it? And therefore, we need these symbols. We need these alambanams. We know there are two kinds of alambanam. One is the pratika and the other is pratima. Pratika is the symbols. Pratima is the like murtis that we have, Ramamurti, um, Venkatesha Murti. So these are pratima. Pratika is a symbol. For example, linga is a symbol. Om is a symbol. So we have the Indian national flag, tricolored national flag. Now you see, once this is associated, whenever there is a national anthem which is played, we stand up because it is associated with the patriotic feeling, with our own bhavana towards our country. Now, when you say, you can see that flag there, it also has a pole. This pole also gets the same value. In fact, you're not going to kick that pole because that pole is carrying the Indian flag. Likewise, for us to get this, how do we keep expanding? It is not that our bhakti is only towards the flag. It should be to everything within this country, everything which belongs to this country. It could be the value system, it could be the people, it could be its structures, everything. Because it is so difficult to express and appreciate that, we have the symbols. Therefore, we expand the very same thing on the other national emblem, national bird, national animal, national fruit. Every time when we have that feeling, we think of the country. So this is what is Arjuna is asking for. Give me some of these glories first. Let me begin with that. And we will hear from Panaga, who will explain the next verse, where he continues to make his request and makes a strong case for why Sri Krishna should tell everything in detail to him. Over to you, Panaga.
Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So this verse is a continuation, as Dr. Divakar said, of Arjuna's series of requests made to Lord Krishna. Chanting the verse, Vistarenatmano yogam vibhutim cha janardana bhuyah kathaya triptirhi shrunvato nasti me mrutam. Seeing the translation, Arjuna here addresses Krishna as Janardana. He says, Kathaya, tell me, Bhuyaha, again, Atmanam Yogam, about your power, Cha Vibhutim, and manifestation, Vistarena, in all detail, because Asti na triptihi, there is no satisfaction, for me, Shrunvataha, who am listening, Amrutam, to the nectar of your words. Next slide. So Arjuna here has been addressing Krishna in a variety of names, as we have seen in the previous verses. In this verse, he addresses Krishna as Janardana. Janardana means the one who is sought after by everyone to grant their wishes. So what wish does Arjuna have here? As we have seen, it is to know Krishna's glory or Krishna's Yoga Shakti. Yoga Shakti here is the potentiality to manifest. Let us understand this by seeing these two images here. The first on the left is the giant mango tree. So this mango tree, which extends to several meters in width and in height, once existed only as a small seed that fit in the palm of your hand. And this gigantic elephant, it also existed once as a microscopic cell, which then by multiple divisions grew into several organs to form this huge animal with all specialized organs and functions. So it is truly a matter of great wonder that something so tiny can acquire all these different characteristics and become so huge in form, in size, function. So if this is true for just one tree or one animal, how much more wondrous is Lord Krishna's potentiality to manifest this entire universe? So if the Earth is just a small speck in the Milky Way, and we have millions of such galaxies, how big or how vast it is actually unimaginable. And that's why Arjuna's series of questions. Next slide. So one thing we must understand is how do we understand potential? So potential can only be inferred. Swamiji gives the example of a singer. So if we see a singer, we cannot know if he or she sings at all, or if she sings, how well she sings. So only when the singer sings and we hear the song, that is when the potentiality is expressed, can we understand the potential of the singer. Similarly, Ishvara's infinite potential is inferred by the existence of this vast material universe. This infinite potential, as we know it as Maya Shakti, as the speakers have elucidated before. Here in this verse, Maya is called yoga. Yoga is derived from the root yuj, meaning to join. It is called yoga here because Maya is a combination of the three gunas, that is sattva, rajas, and tamas. So when all these gunas combine and then they are expressed. So when it is expressed, then it is called vibhuti, that is the visible, perceivable expression of the Lord's Maya Shakti. Next slide. So what is Arjuna asking here? Vistarena. In fact, Swami Chinmayananda begins his explanation of this verse by this word. He says Vistarena is like the key word for the entire 10th chapter because Arjuna wants to know in great detail. On the right side, we can see the two verses, the three verses, actually many more also, where Lord Krishna has already explained in the 7th and 9th chapter. So he says, Rasoham apsu kaunteya, that I am the taste in the water, I am the light in the sun and the moon, I am the Om in the Vedas. And then in the 9th chapter, he says, Aham yagnaha, aham mantraha, aham pita, aham mata. He says, I am everything. Yet Arjuna says, please tell me your glories again. So this word again is important because Arjuna is saying that I have understood. I know you have already told me all this, but continue to explain, continue to give me a list of your glories because triptihi nasti. I am not saturated. I'm not yet satisfied with listening to this beautiful word that you've created. Your words are like amrutam, they're like sweet nectar. So just keep talking, keep telling me more and more of your glories. So I will remember and I can perceive your divinity in more and more of the things that I see in this world. Next slide. So what is Krishna trying to do here? He is expanding our mind. We have always lived in the Jiva Jagat Ishvara format, where we've identified with the Jiva, that is with extreme Deha Abhimana, and then we have the Jagat, that is distinctly outside of us, and we have inflicted our Raga and Dvesha on everything we see in this world. And we then pray to a distant Ishvara to resolve all our problems. So now in the Madhyama Shatkam, and especially now in the Vibhuti Yoga and going on to the 11th chapter also, Lord Krishna is completely blurring the boundaries. He is telling us that his divinity, that is Ishvara, is pervading both Jiva and Jagat equally. So this expansion of our mind will neutralize our Raga Dvesha. When everything is divine, how can I hate anything? And then, secondly, it makes us Nitya Bhaktas. If I was only a devotee in the prayer room or in the temple, now when I'm able to visualize divinity in a lot of things that I see in the world, I have the Bhakti Bhava throughout the day. And finally, as was mentioned, it bestows sadhana chatushtaya sampati, which is an absolute essential requirement for Gnana Yoga. Hence, this concludes Arjuna's Chamakam and Namakam, where he has praised the Lord and asked him to give him all his glories in the form of Pratika and Pratima Alambanam. And then we will see from the next verse onwards how Krishna gives us all his glories and completely makes us filled with bhakti and with Shraddha. Thank you, Hari Om.
Thank you, Panaga, for another very nice explanation of this verse. As you say, Arjuna is asking for the knowledge, the same knowledge again and again. I was here thinking that these classes have been going on for at least few years now. It's become online after the COVID times. Now, it's the same knowledge. We have read a lot of other scriptures, but we're still asking for the same thing again and again. And why is this happening? I was just wondering about it. I think it is to make our mind more and more subtler, make our mind more and more purer, clearer. Knowledge is there. And through this satsang, through these teachings, you can see that process will be happening without us becoming aware. I suppose that's what Arjuna is also doing, because he wants, although he has heard it, he wants his mind to be more subtler so that he can get all the gnanam. And that gnanam becomes a transformation in his own mind. As you say, if we haven't felt the wonderment in the life, as there is a saying, if you haven't felt the wonderment in day-to-day life, if you don't get that feeling of wow, then I suppose we haven't lived our life, is what is the saying by one of the great masters. So, in a nutshell, to purify and to eliminate all our impurities in the mind, do karma yoga and do nishkama upasana, which is the central theme of this Madhyama Shatkam, which is selfless actions in order to stabilize, quieten our restless mind and transcend from the Dvaita Ekarupa Alambanam to, to Vishwarupa Ishvara. So that is, use the vibhutis and the alambanams, use that so that you can have an attitude of, expansion, expanding those alambanams to the entire universe. Just like how the symbol of a flag should represent the whole country, but that respect shouldn't be limited only to the flag. It is to the entire country. That shift has to happen. And then one will obviously get, a mind purification, which is otherwise called as Divya Chakshu, or the internal transformation to visualize everything as the God. And then one can anchor into Gnana Yoga and get the Gnanam from the Gurus using Shastras and claim Aham Brahmasmi. With this, we complete today's session, and thanks to all the speakers, and log in for the next class for Krishna's response. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha.
Thank you to all the speakers. Thank you, Dr. Divakar, and thank you to our listeners. Let us learn to appreciate the glory of God in everything. This will be a big, big stepping stone for us to move forward for inner freedom and transformation. I pray to the Jagatpate that let there be expansion of this mind. Let it become purer and subtler. Maybe be able to see you in everything and appreciate your play in everything. in this world, everywhere, at all times. We meet on 22nd of November again for the 27th session of Mandukya Karikas. This will be the second of 3 sessions for the Alata Prakarana, the fourth section of Mandukya Karikas. Let us pray. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.